Hi, it's time for another verb of the day. Today's verb is click. Let's take a look at some of the definitions or ways that we use this verb. The first way you might hear click used is to mean to cause or cause to make a short and sharp sound. So sometimes we use this verb to describe the sound a particular machine makes. Some people will make this sound with their mouth, so kind of a, right? So something, it's short, and the idea is that it's sharp. A second way you might hear click used is to mean to select something electronically. And you're doing this either by pressing a button, using a mouse would be another example of that, or even now touching a screen. This is, I think, quickly becoming the most popular way or most common way to use the verb click. So I think you can see examples of this used in countless instructions. To reach this particular video today, you probably had to click on it, right, for it to begin to play. You might click pause at some point, but hopefully you come back and finish watching this particular video. A third way you might hear click used is to mean to become suddenly clear or understandable. So sometimes people will be talking about a subject, maybe a concept in school, and they'll say something like, it finally clicked, or maybe it's the negative, it hasn't clicked yet. A fourth way we hear click used is many times to refer to teams, and this could be teams as in sports or teams in a workplace, but really it means that people are fitting together, they're working well together and succeeding. You should know the verb click is a regular verb. To make the progressive tense, all you need to do is add ing to form clicking. The past tense and participle forms of this verb can be made by adding ed. Our base verb, click, ends in an unvoiced K sound. So our past tense ending is going to make a T sound. It should sound like this. Clicked, clicked. Okay. Now, there are a couple phrasal verbs. Some of these already connect back to the earlier definitions that we looked at, but let's discuss click on. This ties back to that second definition we looked at earlier. So here we are generally telling someone or describing a situation where we want someone to select a particular option. And they might be doing that on their phones, on a computer, some other type of touch screen. So an example of this might be, you should click on the green button that says accept. Okay, so maybe you've had a clerk at a store say something like that to you. If you're using a credit card or a debit card, you might need to sign and click or make this selection to continue processing the transaction. Another phrasal verb that is commonly heard is to click through. This means we're selecting some kind of option electronically, but here we're trying to either reach another file, we're trying to reach another web page, a website, or something else. An example of that might be, I clicked through her photo album earlier today. So here, I haven't been descriptive as to what platform, but let's say it was Facebook. I'm using a social media platform. To get to the next photo, I'm going to press an arrow in order to get to the next picture, to the next one, to the next one. The last phrasal verb we're going to discuss is click with. This can have a couple meanings. One would be to become friendly or even maybe develop romantic feelings for someone. An example of this might be, she clicked with her first year roommate almost immediately. Right now, a lot of people are getting prepared to head to college, maybe for the first time, or head to a university. And so sometimes you get paired with a person you don't really know, and you're not certain. Are we going to click? And that's just really another way to say, are we going to get along? Are we going to be friendly? Maybe not best friends. Doesn't have to be that. But mainly we're looking for not enemies here. A second way you can use click with is to describe someone or something becoming successful or popular. An example of this: has this candidate clicked with voters? So in the next few months, we're going to have another sort of important election here in the United States. And so there's already kind of a start to debates and advertising. And here we have a question of kind of, is this person becoming popular with voters? Now let's continue using our verb of the day, click, in a couple different tenses. Today we're going to practice the imperative and the simple future using be going to. Let's start with the imperative. You might know this better by the name of a command. So this is where we're telling someone or a group of people to do a particular action. And it's unique in English because we don't have a stated subject. The subject is always implied. It's either you singular or you plural. So we can just begin our affirmative sentences with the base verb. So maybe you've seen a sentence like this on a website. Click here for contact information, right? So once we make that electronic selection, right, it might take us to a phone number, an address, an email address, something like that. If I want to make a negative imperative sentence, my structure is going to be do, not, and then the base verb. So again, my subject is still implied here. It's you, singular or plural. So another example here. Don't click on anything in a phishing email. Okay. So a phishing email is one where the sender is hoping to maybe get some personal information from you. Could be your social security number or another form of an identification number. Maybe it's your bank information. And so this is an excellent piece of advice. If you get something from a source you don't know, you don't recognize, and it sounds a little funny, a good piece of advice here: don't click on anything. So I'm not selecting anything electronically. Now, sometimes I've had students in the past tell me, gosh, the imperatives just sound so strong, so forward. We can always soften things by using the word please. So we could put that at the beginning of an affirmative or a negative sentence, or we could put it at the end, again, affirmative or negative, but you don't need it in both places. So that helps you feel a little more comfortable as you're speaking to others. Go for it. Now let's move on and talk about the simple future. Today we're going to focus on using be going to. This is really common as we talk about making plans for the future. You will hear people use it sometimes to make a prediction as well. So here we do need to pay attention to our subject. So in our affirmative, we're going to have a subject, and then we're going to have the form of be that matches that subject. So it's am, is, or are. Then we're going to use going to and the base verb. Okay, so the only tricky thing here is paying attention to our form of be. Here's an example. They are going to click as a pair. Okay, so here we're back to that kind of friendly or successful sort of meaning. Someone might be making a prediction. Oh, I just know these people are going to get along and work well together. Now, if I want to make a negative simple future sentence, again, I'll start with my subject. I'll use the form of be that matches that subject, but then I use not, then going to, and our base verb. You can see that in the example. This team isn't going to click until they have more practice time together. So again, here, since it's a negative, we're saying they're not going to be successful. They're not going to be able to work well until they get some more time. Finally, if I want to make a yes or no question in the simple future, I start with my form of be that matches my subject. Subject comes next. Then we use going to and the base verb. An example here. Are you going to click on the link? Right? So maybe we're guiding someone and just sort of checking in that is their plan. Now, let's spend a little time talking about some words and a couple of phrases related to our verb click. And the first word we're going to look at is just the noun form of this word. It can have a couple meanings. One might be to refer to that short or sharp sound. An example here. Do you hear the click of the door? Right? So some people would describe the sound a lock makes as a click. That sharp, short sound. A second way we can use the noun click is to refer to that action of selecting an option electronically. So either using a mouse, maybe using our finger if it's a touch screen. So an example of this. With just one click, you'll see thousands of titles. So here, maybe this is a library, maybe it's a streaming service, but what they're trying to suggest is you're going to have all these things you can see after just doing this action once. Another related word you might hear is the noun clicker. This can refer to a device that makes a particular sound. One way I think some teachers might be used to hearing this would be you'll need a clicker to run the projector, right? So you might see these little tools that people use to advance slides or change to different media. And a second way to use that noun clicker, this is kind of an old, rather dated thing, but this is a word that immediately made me think of my maternal grandparents. So they would call the remote control for a TV or a VCR, because this is back in the day, they would call it the clicker. So would always hear my grandfather ask, where's the clicker, right? So he wanted to be able to change the channel, find his show to watch. Another phrase you might hear is to click into place. So here we're generally describing something kind of falling smoothly into the correct position. There may or may not be a short and sharp sound that goes with this, but an example here. Everything has clicked into place for tonight's big event. So here, maybe we had food, we had music, but it's all kind of falling into place. And hopefully this means that the event will be a success. The last thing I thought of as I thought about this verb click was a particular phrase that became really popular in the 1990s, and that was click it or ticket. And I've included a picture. There were signs and TV ads with this. It came from the United States National Highway Traffic Safety Administration's campaign to try and get more people to wear seatbelts. So here what this phrase is telling us is you need to secure your seatbelt, your safety belt. So that's the click. Or you're going to get a ticket if you get pulled over and someone notices that you're not wearing your seatbelt. Thanks so much for watching today's video. I chose our verb today, click, as I was thinking about videos, social media, those types of things. I know if you watch a lot of YouTube, you might hear a lot of people say click like, right? They're asking you to select that electronic option. So I would love it if you would click like on this particular video. But even if you choose not to, no worries. I hope you have a great day.